Episode 22. People who remember too much. They were not known for remembering. That was the mistake. No one described them as exceptional. They did not correct others often. They did not reference dates or quote conversations. They did not insist on accuracy. In most settings, they blended easily. They listened more than they spoke. Their memory did not announce itself. It accumulated. The first indication appeared as a discrepancy in recall. Two people described the same meeting differently. This was not unusual. What was unusual was that one account contained details the other person did not remember experiencing at all. Not misremembered. Not distorted. Absent. The difference did not cause disagreement. The details were minor. The placement of a chair. The order of speakers. The timing of a pause. The person who remembered more did not argue. They assumed coincidence. Similar moments followed. A conversation repeated weeks later with the same phrasing. The other participant believed it was new. The person who remembered it felt a brief hesitation, then responded normally. They did not correct it. They noted it. Over time, these moments increased. Not in intensity, in density. They clustered around people rather than events. Certain individuals consistently recalled more than others. Not just facts, sequence, position, duration. They remembered the silence between words. They remembered what was not said. At first, this created no consequence. The people who remembered too much functioned normally. They slept. They worked. They socialized. They did not experience repetition. They did not experience distortion. They experienced accumulation. Their memories did not fade at the expected rate. Events remained accessible longer than they should have. The texture of moments persisted. The emotional residue did not dull. The internal archive stayed intact. They did not revisit these memories deliberately. They did not rehearse them. They simply did not lose them. This persistence created friction. Small contradictions appeared. A schedule showed a change that had not been announced. A policy referenced a decision that had never occurred. A colleague denied a discussion the person remembered clearly, not as an argument but as an exchange. The person who remembered too much paused. They searched for uncertainty. They did not find it. They searched for exaggeration. They did not find it. The memory felt stable. They accepted the contradiction without protest. The contradiction remained. Others did not notice. This difference mattered. As more contradictions accumulated, those who remembered too much began to experience a quiet isolation. Not social, cognitive. They could not rely on shared recall. Group memory drifted away from theirs. They adjusted. They stopped referencing specifics. They stopped anchoring conversations to sequence. They allowed others to reshape events. This reduced friction. It did not eliminate accumulation. One individual described the sensation as holding multiple versions of the same moment without confusion. Another described it as standing in a room after everyone else had left, except the room kept changing. They did not share these descriptions publicly. They did not seek explanation. They did not feel alarmed. That came later. The first disruption occurred during sleep. A person woke with a clear memory of an event that had not yet occurred. Not a dream. Not a projection. The memory had weight, context. They remembered where they were standing. They remembered what they had said. They remembered how the other person had responded. They waited for the day to confirm or disprove it. When the event occurred, it unfolded with minor variation. Not enough to invalidate the memory. Enough to disturb it. They did not react outwardly. They stored both versions. This began happening more frequently. Future memories arrived without warning. Not dramatic. Not symbolic. Ordinary. Conversations. Tasks. Interactions. They were never complete. They always felt partial. Fragments. The person did not attempt to predict outcomes. They did not test the memories. They allowed time to proceed. The memories aligned often enough to remain credible. Those who experienced this did not compare notes. They did not know others were experiencing the same thing. What linked them was not the memory itself. It was how the environment responded. Records began correcting themselves. Not erasing. Reordering. A note written earlier appeared later in a different position. A timestamp adjusted by minutes. A message thread reordered replies. These changes were subtle. They did not break systems. They reduced conflict. The environment appeared to prefer one version of events. Not always the remembered one. The people who remembered too much noticed this preference. They did not resist it. They began adapting. They stopped correcting inconsistencies. They stopped verifying sequences. They allowed records to stand, even when inaccurate. This compliance reduced friction. The future memories did not stop. They became quieter, less complete, more frequent. One individual noticed that the memories arrived faster when they paid attention to them. When they dismissed them, the frequency decreased. The person adjusted accordingly. This pattern was not universal. Another individual reacted differently. They attempted to document. They wrote down future memories as they occurred. They timestamped entries. They cross-referenced outcomes. The act of documentation produced interference. The memories became less reliable. Events diverged more sharply. The environment responded more aggressively. Records corrected themselves sooner. The individual felt pressure. Not external, internal. As if memory retention itself had become misaligned with expectation. They stopped documenting. The pressure eased. The memories resumed their previous pattern. Elsewhere, another person began to experience resistance during recall. They attempted to remember a specific event. The memory was present, but accessing it felt delayed, as if the memory existed behind a layer that required effort to penetrate. They succeeded. The next time they tried, the delay increased. They succeeded again. After several attempts, the effort produced fatigue. They stopped accessing the memory. It did not disappear. It became less accessible. The person interpreted this as normal. They did not realize the delay was new. The people who remembered too much began to appear on the list. Not all at once. Not immediately. Those who experienced future memories appeared first. Those who experienced resistance appeared next. Those who adapted without resistance appeared later. The order was consistent. Those who did not experience memory persistence did not appear. Those who did, but did not notice, appeared low. The list did not announce this. It did not correlate publicly. Those who noticed recognized the alignment only after repeated exposure. A person whose name appeared unmarked did not react. They did not know why it was there. They did not feel chosen. They continued adapting instinctively. Their name remained unmarked. Another person recognized their name and attempted to suppress memory deliberately. They distracted themselves. They avoided reflection. They avoided silence. Their memory persisted anyway. Their name was circled. The circle darkened over time. The marking did not alter their experience immediately. It altered the environment's tolerance. Records corrected more frequently. Conversations drifted faster. Shared memory diverged more sharply. The person adjusted again. They stopped speaking about what they remembered. This reduced divergence. The circle remained. The episode did not escalate further. Not yet. What changed was density. The number of people retaining excess memory increased. Not because memory became stronger, because forgetting slowed. The environment began compensating. Not by erasing memory, by isolating it. Those who remembered too much were not removed. They were compartmentalized. Their recall no longer aligned with shared sequence. They existed alongside events, not within them. The list reflected this. The names remained. The markings did not resolve. The system was not finished. After the names appeared on the list, nothing changed immediately. That delay created uncertainty. Those who remembered too much expected consequence. They did not know what form it would take. Only that registration implied response. When nothing followed, attention sharpened. Attention altered memory. The memories began arriving closer together. Not clearer. Closer. One person noticed that recalling an event pulled adjacent moments with it. Remembering a conversation also retrieved the silence before it. Remembering a task retrieved the hesitation that preceded it. Memory no longer arrived as isolated points. It arrived as blocks. This density made recall slower. It also made forgetting difficult. The environment continued compensating. Shared timelines grew less tolerant of deviation. Conversations ended sooner. Decisions closed faster. Opportunities resolved without deliberation. Those who remembered too much began arriving late to conclusions that others reached without them. Not because they were slow, because they were holding more. One individual attempted to explain this to someone they trusted. They stopped halfway through. The words felt insufficient. Not inaccurate. Insufficient. The explanation required context that no longer existed in shared space. They did not try again. Another person noticed a more concrete effect. Their memories began arriving with timestamps that did not match clocks. They remembered an interaction as occurring earlier than records indicated. They checked logs. They checked messages. The records disagreed consistently. The person stopped checking. The disagreement did not resolve. Stabilized. They learned to hold two versions without privileging either. This skill reduced friction. The list responded by doing nothing. A third individual experienced a different shift. Their memories began arriving without sensory detail. They remembered the structure of events but not texture. They knew what had happened but not how it had felt. Emotional residue decayed faster than usual. This loss was not distressing. It was efficient. They functioned well. Their name appeared on the list and remained unmarked. The contrast became apparent. Those who retained memory with texture experienced more interference. Those who retained memory without texture experienced less. The list reflected this difference. Circles darkened selectively. One circled individual attempted to recover texture deliberately. They revisited places. They replayed conversations. They lingered on sensation. The texture returned. So did interference. Moments repeated. Records corrected themselves aggressively. The circle thickened. The person stopped seeking texture. The interference eased. The circle did not. Another person noticed that their future memories began arriving without context. They remembered outcomes without pathways. They knew something would conclude, but not how it would arrive there. This produced unease. They attempted to reconstruct the path. The reconstruction failed. The environment resisted. Events deviated sharply when anticipated. The person stopped anticipating. The memories continued. They learned to let outcomes occur without expectation. This reduced divergence. Their name remained circled. The list did not reward compliance. It tracked compatibility. Over time, those who remembered too much began to experience temporal overlap. Not repetition. Overlap. They would remember an event while it was still occurring. Not as prediction. As simultaneous recall. This did not slow them. It detached them. They felt present and retrospective at once. This state did not last long. The environment corrected it. Overlap resolved into sequence. The person felt fatigue afterward. They rested. The fatigue dissipated. The overlap did not recur. Others were not corrected as gently. One individual attempted to hold onto overlap. They focused on it. They attempted to sustain it. The overlap collapsed abruptly. They lost access to recent memory for several minutes. Not erased. Unavailable. When access returned, the memory was flattened. Sequence remained. Texture was gone. Their name was crossed out the next day. The crossing did not remove them immediately. It altered interaction. People spoke to them without waiting for response. Conversations proceeded without acknowledgement. Tasks reassigned themselves. The person noticed. They compensated by becoming more present. This did not restore alignment. They existed adjacent to shared memory. Their isolation increased. They stopped appearing on the list shortly thereafter. Not removed. Absent. The space remained. Those still on the list noticed this absence without comment. The system did not explain removal. It demonstrated it. A new marking appeared. A faint underline beneath the name. The person it belonged to remembered efficiently. They retained structure without texture. Sequence without emphasis. Outcome without anticipation. They adapted instinctively. They did not linger on contradiction. They did not document. They did not resist correction. They did not experience future memory. They experienced resolution. Their environment aligned around them. Decisions completed smoothly. Conversations flowed. Timing adjusted without awareness. They did not notice any change. They assumed competence. The underline remained. Others noticed. The list now displayed hierarchy without explanation. Circled names continued experiencing interference. Crossed-out names thinned socially. Underlined names stabilized. Unmarked names remained diffuse. The distinction altered behavior. Some attempted to emulate underlined individuals. They reduced reflection. They avoided memory retrieval. They focused on immediate action. This produced mixed results. Some circles faded slightly. Others darkened. The list did not respond to imitation. It responded to internal alignment. One circled individual experienced a brief improvement. Their repetitions decreased. Their memories lost texture. Their interference lessened. Their circle lightened. They noticed. They attempted to maintain the state deliberately. The effort reintroduced texture. The circle darkened again. The list did not tolerate self-conscious adjustment. Another individual, unmarked, noticed their name shift position. Not upward, laterally. Spacing adjusted. The list accommodated without reordering. The movement was subtle enough to be doubted. The person did not dwell on it. The position stabilized. The list allowed stability. As the episode progressed, the density of memory-related interference increased across the environment. Not because more people remembered too much, because forgetting slowed globally. Minor inconsistencies accumulated. Records corrected more often. Conversations shortened. Decisions closed faster. The system compressed. Those who remembered too much felt this compression acutely. They carried excess past into a narrowing present. The list reflected this pressure. Circles grew darker without additional marking, as if reinforced by ambient repetition. No new names were added. The list was not expanding. It was refining. The underlined names did not increase. They remained few. Their presence suggested preference, not selection. Compatibility. Those who remembered too much began to feel the cost. Not pain. Load. They carried more than the environment required. The system did not remove memory. It marginalized it. Those individuals learned to hold memory privately. They stopped referencing it externally. They stopped testing alignment. They stopped expecting coherence. This reduced friction. Their names remained circled. The circles did not fade. They stabilized. The list did not resolve. Paused. Those watching understood without articulation. Memory itself was not the issue. Persistence was. Retention beyond usefulness. The environment preferred forgetting. Not immediately. Gradually. Those who could not forget fast enough were being sorted. Not punished. Placed. The list remained. The markings held. The next change did not arrive. Not yet.